Hey y'all, and welcome to another video. Today's video is a fun one for me. I don't play League of Legends, but I fell in love with Arcane when the first season came out. So today I'm making Jinx. I'm super proud of how this doll turned out, so I really hope you enjoy watching me make her. And a side note, I'm realizing that my mini-me doll looks a wee bit insane, so I'm in the process of making a new one that'll hopefully look a little bit more like me. Anyway, let's get into the video. I'll be starting with a new Toralei doll. I picked her because of the combination of her smirk and her body shape. I have to say, I don't love the reimagined characters in the G3 dolls, but I love the diverse body shapes. I just have so much more to work with now. The final doll actually won't have ears, but it doesn't bother me, so who cares? As you can see here, I removed her face, along with her ears, tail, and the molded on fur on her wrists, ankles, and cheeks. I used some thermal plastic to plug up the holes from her missing ears, and I added a few extra holes in her hairline to make Jinx's widow's peak. That isn't exactly a widow's peak, but I don't know what else to call it, so I'm gonna call it a widow's peak. I really didn't do a great job removing the molded on fur. I wasn't patient enough to actually sand it smooth, but it gets covered up in the end, so it's fine. The first thing I do is reroot her hair. I start by painting her scalp with a generic ultramarine blue that kinda matches the hair I picked. This is always a really satisfying process for me, but then most of the paint comes off during the actual reroot, so it kinda hurts a little bit. I don't know why, but it just made me laugh that it looks like she has a bruise on her cheek. Is that weird? Now it's time for the actual reroot. I used some nylon hair from Dolly Hair in the color Pacific Ocean. I could have picked a slightly lighter color, but I think it works. I love completing a reroot. It really is the best feeling ever. On the other hand, styling hair is the biggest pain in the butt. So I just didn't include that in this video. I was so frustrated doing 2 simple braids and a little cowlick, and it's kind of embarrassing. I got so mad at one point that I had to stop and put it down, and I didn't try again for several days. Also, I don't really know why I left this in here, but I just thought it was funny because I remember squeezing with all of my might and nothing was coming out of the bottle, but I got there eventually. And now I have a newly rerooted head ready to be repainted. So for this process, I started by changing her skin from orange to pasty pale. This was the process that made me stall so much. It's just not all that enjoyable and it takes forever. Also, watching this back and seeing the powder from these pastels flying everywhere makes me worry for my lungs, because I don't wear a mask. Don't do what I do, y'all. So this is what she looked like after the first layer of burnt sienna pastels, I believe. And this is what she looked like after like 5 layers of burnt sienna. I realized it wasn't really working, so I brought out the white. This was after the first layer of white before I sprayed it. And I only did 2 layers of white before I was satisfied. So once she was pasty pale, as I said earlier, aka my skin color, I started sketching her face. It is kind of funny though, because I was going for like a sickly pale color for her, and watching this back, I'm noticing it's just the same color as me, and that's just kind of worrisome, but it's also just really funny. Anyway, for her face, I started, as always, with a light brown. I'm terrible at describing what I'm doing in these moments, but I kind of just went off this picture. I mean, y'all can be the judge of whether or not it looks anything like her, but yeah, I used that as a reference. I always do the eyes first, and once I was satisfied with one side, I did the other side off camera to make it a little bit easier to get it even, because I could have it closer to my face. Moving on to the irises and pupils, it's just a matter of making them round and even, and it takes some time, but if you're patient, you can get it done. Also, based on the reference photo that I had, I gave her a wing or a cat eye. I don't really know what the difference is, but yeah, I gave her a little flick. So there's both eyes officially sketched out, and now I'm going to move on to her eyebrows. So for this, I wanted to kind of go with the smirk, so I wanted one eyebrow up and the other one neutral or down. I don't know how effective it is, but I did my best. Moving on to the lips, Jinx has really dark lips in Arcane, and I'm just trying to replicate that here. It took me a few tries to get the color right. Then I started blushing her face a little bit. Jinx has a lot of shadows around her eyes that aren't eyeshadow, so I was trying to do that, but then it kind of just turned into eyeshadow. But it's whatever. I like how it looked in the end. I did a pretty stupid thing here and I covered everything up with more white pastels, which probably would have faded after I sprayed it, but I decided to go back and redefine everything that I had done earlier so I could make sure that it showed up later. I also decided to go ahead and start coloring her eyes. Of course, I went with Jinx's pink eyes and not Powder's blue eyes. So this is how she looks after the first layer before I ever sprayed her. And then I skipped to I don't even know what layer. As you can see, I added some freckles and some lines just to give a little bit more dimension to her face. This is the point where I start doing the whole thing again, just with darker colors and more shades. I know I don't sound like I'm enjoying what I'm doing here, but I actually really do enjoy it. I've never been good at drawing on paper, and it's something that I always wished I could do, but then I found this form of drawing, this form of art, and it's just something that I am capable of doing, and it just brings me a lot of joy, and it makes me very happy, so. It's also very satisfying and very relaxing. At the time that I'm doing this voiceover, I haven't actually finished season 2 yet. I'm gonna be watching the last episode tomorrow, and I'm so excited, but I'm so nervous. I know there are gonna be some bad endings, but hopefully there will be some good endings as well. I'm going to try not to talk too much at the end of this video, so I'll just say now that my next doll, I already have it planned, and it's going to be kind of an experiment. We'll see how it goes. If it's bad, I'll still post it, because it's going to take time, but I'm kind of excited about it. It's kind of an old concept, but I think it'll be interesting. Also, I'm thinking about doing a few other things on this channel. I enjoy doing a lot of different crafts. A lot of them wouldn't be very interesting to watch, like crocheting. I do a lot of that. But something that might be interesting is like book nooks. My sister got me one last Christmas and I put it together and I realized I should have filmed it and posted it on here, but I didn't. So I would love to get some more and actually post them on here if y'all are interested. Do any of y'all play League of Legends? Like I said earlier, I don't, but I really enjoy all the content that they create outside of the game. I've also just been playing a lot of Genshin Impact. It's my ride or die right now. And then I'm also playing Baldur's Gate 3, which is an incredible game. Of course, I can't make a doll without adding some glitter. And this is her completed face. Now I'm just adding some cash lights in her eyes. And then I add some eyelashes. This process took way longer than what I'm showing you here, but it was frustrating and annoying, and I struggled for a long time. I can't put fake lashes on myself, and putting them on a doll is like 14 times harder. Finally, I put some gloss on her eyes, and her face is officially finished. And here she is without the cloth over her hair. I think she really looks great, and she looks even better when her hair is styled. Moving on to her body, I start by doing the exact same thing I did with her face. I cover her with 5 layers of burnt sienna pastels and then 2 layers of white. It's always interesting to watch the skin color of a doll change when it's sped up like this, but as I said earlier, I don't really enjoy doing the process. It just takes too long. But I did get an airbrush for Christmas this year, so hopefully that'll work and I can start using that to speed up the process. So once she was pasty pale once again, I started sketching out her tattoos. I wasn't sure how well this was gonna go. I've never done tattoos on a doll before, but I actually really like how it turned out. I also used this picture as a reference for where her tattoos went and also what they looked like. Also, here's an update. I just finished Arcane and it was amazing. It was so good. Like I said, there were some bad endings and some good endings. I actually didn't cry, which is amazing for me, but it was so good. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So this is how it looks before I add any color to it. And this is how it looks after I added the color. They're a little brighter than they should be, but I think it's fine because it just shows up a little better. Now I start molding on her gloves with some thermal plastic. This was very nerve-wracking for me. I was terrified I was going to mess something up and have to redo the skin tone change, but it all worked out in the end. Also, for the rest of this video, this is the picture I used as a reference to make her outfit. At this point, I just painted her gloves to look how they're supposed to look. I used browns, grays, blacks, purples, and a little bit of gold. Then I painted her nails following this beautiful diagram that I found somewhere. I don't remember where, but I found it. So this is her arms and hands all done. I think it looks really great now. And we're going to move on to a lot of snapping transitions now. So I made this fabric for her pants. It turned out a lot better than I thought it would, and I'm super proud of it. And here are the finished pants. I was gonna rough out the edges, but I completely forgot, so they stay like this. So next I make her top out of this very faux leather fabric that I have. I also added some tiny little rivets and a strip of fabric that I put a lot of fray check on to make the cross. Next up is her boots. These are the original boots from the Torlai doll. I used some thermoplastic to make them the correct shape. Then I painted them to look like Jinx's boots. I think they're so cute and I kind of want some of these. Next up is her belt, which I made completely out of thermoplastic. I shaped it on the doll using this picture as a reference. Then I painted it and added the fabric to make it look like her belt. The final thing that I made was this little gun. I made it out of thermoplastic and some jewelry wire. And then I painted it to look slightly like Jinx's gun. It's not a perfect replica, but I am happy with it. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!